Hello and welcome to the news at 7 on NTA International. I'm Lami Ali. Taiwo Ozoma is the sign language interpreter. We are streaming live on Vision TV 24/7 and on other social media handles displayed on your screen. Let's now go for the headlines. President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in a swift reaction as ICJ orders Israel to prevent acts of genocide. UN Security Council holds emergency meeting on Russian plane crash. Plus, ECOWAS expresses profound gratitude to the authorities of Sierra Leone for granting permission to the former president of Sierra Leone, Ernest Bai Koroma, to travel for medication. And we start from The Hague, where the International Court of Justice has ruled that Israel must take all measures to prevent any acts that could be considered genocidal. The president of the court, Judge Joanne Donoghue, who led other 15 judges of the court, gave the verdict at The Hague in a preliminary ruling on the matter filed by South Africa against Israel. Dele Atumbi of our judiciary desk reports.
The matter before the court is the humanitarian issues filed by South Africa against Israel as a result of the war in Gaza. Taking a critical look at the preliminary issues, the International Court of Justice, headed by Justice Joanne Donoghue, maintained that South Africa has legal standing to bring the case before it. Having settled the local standard of South Africa to institute the matter, the court assumed jurisdiction on the case. The court thereafter gave some provisional rulings on the case which South Africa filed against Israel. One of the provisional rulings is for Israel to ensure its military does not commit any genocidal act. The court also ordered Israel to prevent and punish any public comments that could be considered incitement to commit genocide in Gaza. The Republic of Israel is equally expected to take measures to ensure humanitarian access. The court, in addition, barred Israel from the destruction of evidence that could be used in a genocide case. It also ordered Israel to submit a report to the court within 1 month of this order being given.
On 12 October 2023, Mr. Isaac Herzog, President of Israel, stated, referring to Gaza, I quote, "We are working, operating militarily according to rules of international law, unequivocally. It is an entire nation out there that is responsible. It is not true, this rhetoric about civilians not aware, not involved. It is absolutely not true. They could have risen up. They could have fought against that evil regime which took over Gaza in a coup d'etat. But we are at war. We are at war. We are at war. We are defending our homes. We are protecting our homes."
The court equally expressed grave concern about the fate of hostages being held by Hamas and called for their immediate release. Judge Joanne Donoghue says the court considers that the civilian population in Gaza remains extremely vulnerable.
I believe that in exercising the order, there would have to be a ceasefire. Without it, the order doesn't actually work.
In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
Following the ruling by the International Court of Justice on the genocide case by South Africa against Israel, President Cyril Ramaphosa and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have reacted to the ruling.
More than half a century of occupation, dispossession, oppression, and apartheid, the Palestinian people's cries for justice have been heeded by an eminent organ of the United Nations. Today, Israel stands before the international community, its crimes against the Palestinians laid bare.
Israel's commitment to international law is unwavering. Equally unwavering is our sacred commitment to continue to defend our country and defend our people. Like every country, Israel has an inherent right to defend itself. The vile attempt to deny Israel this fundamental right is blatant discrimination against the Jewish state, and it was justly rejected. The charge of genocide leveled against Israel is not only false, it's outrageous, and decent people everywhere should reject it.
The United Nations Security Council met in an emergency meeting at Russia's request following the crash of a Russian military transport plane near the Russia-Ukraine border. Kolo Mohammed reports that both sides are calling for an investigation into the incident.
United Nations political chief Rosemary DiCarlo said the UN is not in a position to verify the circumstances around the crash. She says what is clear is that the incident took place in the context of Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the ongoing war. She said to avoid further escalation, all parties are to refrain from actions, rhetorics, and allegations that could further fuel the already dangerous conflict. Moscow has accused Kyiv of shooting down the plane, which crashed in the Belgorod region. Russia said the plane was carrying 74 people, including 65 Ukrainian prisoners of war, who were to be part of a prisoner's swap. The Ukrainian prisoners of war were transported to Belgorod region to conduct yet another swap that was agreed between Moscow and Kyiv. Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov in New York, where he was attending United Nations meetings, said the Ukrainian side launched an air defense missile from the Kharkiv region, which targeted the airplane, and it was a fatal strike. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said his government was insisting on an international investigation to establish the facts. He said Russia was playing with the lives of Ukrainian prisoners of war, the feelings of their relatives, and the emotions of the society. At the Security Council, Ukraine's envoy repeated the government's call for an international investigation, saying that because the plane went down in Russian territory, Ukraine didn't have access to it. Kolo Mohammed, NTA News.
Now, Chinese government has asked its Iranian counterparts to help control attacks on ships on the Red Sea by Iran-backed Houthis or risk harming business relations with Beijing. Again, Kolo Mohammed brings us the details.
Discussions about the attacks and trade between China and Iran took place at several meetings in Beijing and Tehran. Iranian sources gave declining details about when they took place and who attended. China said if its interests are harmed in any way, it will impact the business with Tehran and therefore asked Iran to tell the Houthis to show some restraint. The attacks, which the Houthis say are in support of Palestinians in Gaza, have raised the cost of shipping and insurance by disrupting a key trade route between Asia and Europe used widely by ships from China. While China had been Iran's biggest trading partner for the past decade, their trade relation is said to be lopsided. Chinese oil refineries, for example, bought in over 99% of Iran's crude exports last, according to tanker-taking data from trade analytics firm Kepler, as U.S. sanctions kept many other customers away and Chinese firms profited from heavy discounts. Iranian oil, though, only accounts for 10% of Chinese crude imports, and Beijing has an array of suppliers that could plug shortfalls from elsewhere. The Iranian sources said Beijing had made it clear it will be disappointed with Tehran if any vessels linked to China were hit or the country's interests were affected in any way. Kolo Mohammed, NTA News.
Now, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has expresses its profound gratitude to the authorities of Sierra Leone for granting permission to the former president of Sierra Leone, Ernest Bai Koroma, to travel out of the country on medical and health grounds. ECOWAS commends the humanitarian gesture that stands to serve the greater interests of Sierra Leone and the ECOWAS region. ECOWAS renews its commitments to supporting the government and the people of Sierra Leone in efforts to foster peace and security, as well as to deepen democracy and good governance. A United Nations report indicates that 675 million people live in the dark, with between 4 to 5 in sub-Saharan Africa. As the world marks International Energy Day, the connection between clean energy, socio-economic development and environmental sustainability will address issues faced by vulnerable communities across the globe. Charles Alpha has the report.
Clean energy plays a vital role in reducing emissions in a world grappling with climate change and can also benefit communities lacking access to reliable power sources. For a population without clean energy access, the lack of reliable power hinders education, healthcare, and economic opportunities, as many of the developing regions still rely heavily on polluting fossil fuels for daily living, thereby perpetuating poverty.
Clean energy is the gift that keeps giving. It can purify polluted air, meet growing energy demand, secure supplies, and connect billions of people to affordable power, helping to ensure electricity access to all by 2030. That is all while saving money and saving the planet.
It is believed that if current trends continue, by 2030, 1 in 4 people will still use unsafe, unhealthy, and inefficient cooking system, such as burning wood or dung. The report says, although this situation has been improving, the world is not yet on track in achieving Sustainable Development Goal 7, which aims to ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all by 2030.
I applaud the work of the International Renewable Energy Agency, and I welcome the call made by countries at COP28 to triple renewable energy capacity by 2030. It is my firm belief that fossil fuel phase-out is not only necessary, it is inevitable.
The UN General Assembly will hold a global stock-taking in SDG 7 in April 2024 to assess progress and recommend solutions. However, adopting clean energy, the UN says, is integral to the fight against climate change. The International Day of Clean Energy, celebrated 26 January, was declared by the General Assembly as a call to raise awareness and mobilize action for a just and inclusive transition to clean energy for the benefit of people and planet. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
President Bola Tinubu has directed the Ministry of Agriculture to ensure that the country remains food secured. The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari, stated this when he hosted Niger and Sokoto state governors in Abuja. Musa Aliu has the details.
Niger is the largest state in Nigeria in terms of land mass, housing more than 1 million hectares of irrigable land. The state is also ranked the largest producer of rice paddy in Nigeria and also a leading producer of yam. However, in the areas of processing and export, the state is lagging behind. This therefore necessitated a visit by the state governor to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture seeking for partnership.
Niger State,
the governor told the minister that he is targeting 1 million hectares of land this year for cultivation of assorted food in the state.
And we're deploying irrigation pumps. Some of them are renewable energy, understanding the need for us to reduce carbon emission. We have attracted over $1 billion investment in agricultural mechanization and technology in the last 6 months.
Sokoto State Governor was also in the ministry. They cried how the activities of bandits are affecting agricultural activities in part of the state. He explained some of the measures his administration is taking to ensure farmers in the state increase productivity.
That our major concern in Sokoto State, as far as food production is concerned, is the issue of armed banditry affecting some part of the state. There is no way without security farmers can go to the farm.
The Minister of Agriculture says the ministry is mandated to ensure availability of food in the country and seeks for state governors' support.
The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security is dedicated to implementing stringent measures in the forthcoming dry, wet season farming for rice, maize, and cassava to ensure transparent distribution of agro inputs and targeting genuine farmers. Collaboration with states, local governments, traditional rulers, NGOs, and relevant MDAs and farmer associations will be crucial in achieving this goal.
Sokoto State is recognized as one of the leading states in vegetable and livestock production in the country. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
You're watching the news on NTA International. Time now for a break. More reports when we return. Do stay tuned. The Commander, Inspector General of Police, Special Intervention Squad on FCT Security, Commissioner of Police Bennett Igwe, says the target of the team is to ensure a secure and serene nation's capital within the shortest time. To achieve this, the squad on routine patrol is engaging residents of FCT suburbs to enhance intelligence gathering. Benotu Yakubu brings us the team's latest exploits.
It was an all-night affair as the squad routes major local communities along their paths. From the force headquarters, first the team passed through Giri in Gwagwalada to connect Tungamaje, then Zuba and Suleja, and also parts of Buari. At every stop, the commander of the squad, CP Bennett Igwe, interacts with residents to strengthen confidence and as well share phone contacts with the people, directing them to reach out to him for prompt action whenever they are in distress or suspect strange situations.
So how is the area now? Yes, my duty is to protect you. That's why you see me.
Ultimately, the strategy is a new phase of policing and one which makes the people feel at home.
The way they come is something that makes us now be assured that we have security in this country, especially in this Tungamaje, that we are okay, we are secure.
CP Igwe gives the assurance that the patrol is to enable him close ranks and take stock of the situation, hinting that a new dawn is upon the security situation of the territory as evident in the outcome of the ongoing operation.
That is the purpose of the continuous patrol. You can see how we went through the whole of Trafa this night and the whole of Buhari, all to ensure that Buhari, they said that is no safe area, is now safer. You can see how happy they are. And they said many of them have come back. They have come back and they're happy they're back in their homes. Instead of running away, they are now back in their homes, and our continuous visit will ensure and further show that building confidence in them that the government is capable of protecting them.
He pledges the IGP's resolve to enhance manpower deployment to strengthen presence with patrol vehicles to aid visibility policing. Onotu Yakubu, NTA News.
Security agencies should dominate ungoverned space in parts of the country to combat criminal activities and deploy technology as a force multiplier in fighting crime. These were some of the recommendations at the end of the National Security course on psychological operations and strategic communication, focusing on winning the hearts and minds of civilians for national cohesion.
That security agencies should explore the potential of new technological tools, including artificial intelligence tools and data analysis, to enhance security effectiveness of psyops and strategic communications.
If you take two countries with the same resources and you say go grow your GDP, and they keep getting more people to work, they keep putting more money, the one that is going to turn up to be more competitive is that country that is actually put technology to use.
Organized by the Defense Intelligence Agency, the platform also recommends proper regulation on social media to guard against spread of fake news and advocate enhanced synergy between security agencies and communities for national cohesion. We go to the legislature, where the National Assembly is promising further collaboration with the Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative through legislations and oversights towards strengthening the performance of Nigeria's extractive industry. This was when the global leadership from the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative visited the National Assembly. John Yaku has more.
The visit of the global leadership of the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative is to seek collaboration with the legislature towards ensuring that citizens benefit from their natural resources through effective legislation. The delegation commended Nigeria for adopting EITI standards through the establishment of Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative while seeking review of NTA to meet emerging contemporary issues.
This body is elected for 4 years, but we have noticed in 2 occasions where it has been interrupted. Its mandate has been interrupted before that term is fulfilled.
Reports are just documents, except if they are implemented. And the findings and recommendations in our reports need your everyday attention.
Committee chairmen in both chambers appreciate NTA for its invaluable information availed to the National Assembly during its legislative work.
The House, through its Petroleum Resources Committees, has commenced its consideration, investigation, and working on all the recommendations from the reports. The outcome of this review will be made public and implemented accordingly.
The only thing we do, we are legislators, we make laws. We use legislative instruments. Where amendments are needed, we will. We'll cooperate with you, we'll get your documents, we'll study them.
The delegation had also visited the SGF among other agencies for more collaborations. In Abuja, John Yaku, NTA News.
The Supreme Court has upheld the conviction and 5-year sentence of former member of the House of Representatives Farouk Lawan, who was convicted by a High Court of the Federal Capital Territory for receiving a bribe of $500,000 from a Nigerian businessman, Femi Otedola. In 2021, Lawan, as chairman House Ad Hoc Committee investigating oil subsidy, was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment for soliciting and accepting bribe, but the Court of Appeal Abuja in 2022 reduced the prison sentence to 5 years. He filed an appeal against the judgments, but the Supreme Court dismissed Farouk Lawan's appeal for lacking in merit and upheld the appellate court's decision on the matter.
The Supreme Court has affirmed the judgment of Court of Appeal that the third count stands and is convicted on the third count, and it should serve the 5-year term.
The court had earlier discharged him on 2 out of the 3 counts he was accused of. Well, the Nigeria Customs Service says it will continue to harness the specialized expertise of other security agencies in the interest of enhancing its capability to fulfill core mandate. The Comptroller General of Customs, Bashir Adiwale Adeniyi, stated this in Lagos while showcasing more than 56 kilograms of cocaine and 955 kilograms of marijuana intercepted at the Tin Can Island port. Michael Olale reports.
Being the second busiest port in Nigeria, Tin Can Island is usually a target for smuggling of illicit drugs and other banned items. Unlike in previous attempts, the customs has proven its ability to keep an eagle eye, as seen in the case of this consignment containing 56.3 kilograms of cocaine valued at 2.4 billion naira and 955 kilograms of Colorado with street value of 4.3 billion naira. 5 pistols, 455 rounds of live ammunition, and several empty pistol magazines were seized, with South Africa and Canada identified as countries of imports.
The individuals linked to these seizures have not been disclosed totally, as investigation into the criminal network are still ongoing. Our pursuit for justice underscores the determination to dismantle the networks enabling these criminal acts and reinforcing our dedication to upholding the rule of law and safeguarding the security and well-being of Nigerian people.
The Comptroller General of Customs singled out the progressive partnership with the NTAi, which has resulted in suppressing drug network. The chairman of the NTAi, who was represented, believes the seizure is a testimony that the seaport is equally under surveillance.
This level of cooperation between NTAi and customs, as well as other security agencies and port stakeholders, is a strong signal to drug cartels that our ports and indeed Nigeria will not be a haven for them for their criminal business.
Both agencies use the platform to reaffirm commitment to deepening collaboration towards fostering a civil society. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NT News.
Saturday's weather check is next for Nigeria and some cities of the world. And that's the news at this time on NTA International. We thank you for watching. Taiwo Ozoma has been the sign language interpreter, and I am Lami Ali. Do have a beautiful weekend.